Hey, my name is Praying for Exits. I'm a venture capitalist. I run a seed stage venture capital fund, as well as helping out with a few companies that I've started in the last few years. So the process for me getting into VC was I originally started at a hedge fund in New York City, and I was exposed to technology because that was the types of investments that I was making on behalf of the hedge fund. For me, that wasn't my ideal format for investing. I'm more of a long-term investor, and if you know anything about hedge funds, then you know that most of the time hedge funds trade on a much shorter time scale. And so I left the hedge fund world back in 2016 to go work at an early stage startup in the consumer internet space. Helped them open up a Los Angeles office and worked with them to build a lot of relationships out here in California. From there, I was connected to a couple of family offices, and family offices are the investment arms of large, wealthy families, and a lot of them do venture capital. And so basically I helped a few family offices between Europe and Asia basically get into technology where they weren't otherwise able to. And so my first job in venture capital was actually investing money on behalf of wealthy families in Asia and Europe. I think the thing that really broke through for me was in 2017, I invested in a company called Clarity Money. Clarity Money is basically a personal finance app that basically told you how you spent money, how you could save money, and basically things that you were doing inefficiently that was losing you money that you probably didn't know about. I invested in that company in 2017. Goldman Sachs purchased it and rolled it into their Marcus product. It ended up underpinning their collaboration with Apple, which was the Apple Card, and Apple/Goldman Sachs released a personal finance product. And for me, that was my first big win. It happened in a year. It happened really quickly. And from there, I had a little bit of cachet to be able to do more things. I would like to say my first investment was calculated and I had a good understanding of the risk, but actually it was really an investment in the person. And I didn't really have a good sense, especially when I started, of what makes a good software company. I was very new to it. I didn't have a lot of exposure to software before. And so what I did, and what I think that a lot of people still do, especially at the earliest stage of investing, which is what's colloquially called the seed stage, is you kind of bet on the founder. You get an understanding of what they're trying to do, what kind of opportunities that would bring to the company, how much money that might make, and if the person that is starting the company is the right person to do it. I think that one of the things about venture capital is it's very similar to baseball. If you can bat a 300, you are in the Hall of Fame. Most people lose money on venture capital investments. I would say 80 to 90% of venture capital investments return you your money or less. You lose some function of money, and a lot of times it's all of it. And so what you really have to do is swing for the fences, to keep it into the baseball metaphor, because if you think about a portfolio of maybe 50 companies, probably 1, 2, or 3 are going to be the ones that bring you all of your money back and more and get you the profit to your investors. And so what you're really trying to do is find a Facebook or an Uber or any of these other things, and that will offset all of your other losses, because the multiples, especially when you get in early into these companies, is so high that not only will it cover all of your losses, but make you some money. And so for me, I've invested in companies that have gone out of business pretty much every year that I've been doing this. It's the ones that have worked that have kind of saved me and saved my portfolio. I was broke helping these companies and just kind of getting by, as most people do when they're starting out in Silicon Valley. And then something happens when you've invested in a company and it sells to a bigger company, and you kind of realize that money is coming your way. And one day you refresh your bank account and it's got a lot more money in it than the day before. And it's really quite weird in the sense that, it's literally a difference of 24 hours. And my personal experience was I was basically living paycheck to paycheck. I was at a wedding. There was an exit happening within my portfolio, and I knew it was coming on the day of the wedding, and I was just kind of sitting there refreshing my bank account. And then halfway through the wedding, I was checking my bank account, and there was just a lot more money in it than when the wedding started. And not much else has changed because, you're still working mostly with the same people. You still basically have all the same things. It's not like this weird celebration or anything. I think that I went out and probably bought myself some clothes and just didn't really check the price tags. But other than that, I'm not a very money-oriented person. And so there was a big pressure release for me in the sense that I didn't really have to think about the granularities of my finances anymore and worry about moving money here for this day or whatever. I think that money is a great way to sort of refocus yourself. Instead of focusing on how am I going to pay my rent or my electricity bill or any of these things, it just gives you a level of comfort that you can orient that mental capacity towards things that are more helpful and that you care about more. And I think that there's one piece of advice that I've been given constantly, and it's served me as a good North Star for my entire career in investing, which is just be unequivocally the most helpful version of yourself you can possibly be. I think that if you're consistently helpful, Silicon Valley and technology in general, when I first started, it was a much smaller place. Even now, to this day, it's still a pretty small place. And so if you can actually be helpful and you can actually go out of your your way to make a difference in these companies at their earliest stages, the word of that gets around. Most people underestimate how much having people go to bat for you in this way is really helpful. And if you really want a long career in Silicon Valley, the best thing you can do is to have as many people as possible finding you as helpful as possible. And off the back of that, you will start to get more and more opportunities to show your helpfulness to others. And over time, if you do this on a long enough time scale, it's very unlikely that you won't be successful in some way, shape, or form. That's how I got into technology, investing in technology, and a bit about how technology has changed my life for the better. So if you want to learn a bit more about how technology works and get a good sense of some of the most interesting people in technology, please like, subscribe, and click the link below, and you can find more videos on the topic.